A very good afternoon. Nice of you to join us on Newsroom series. I'm Dominic Iwibu. Today we'll be taking a look at the southeastern region. But before we get into that, let's take a look at national news making the rounds at the moment. President Bola Tinubu has sworn in Justice Kudirat Kekere-Ekun as the acting Chief Justice of Nigeria, pending approval by the Senate. Justice Kekere-Ekun succeeds Justice Olukayode Ariwoola, who bowed out of service on Thursday after attaining the mandatory retirement age of 70.
I, Kudirat, is going to be later confirmed by the Senate before she will take the full designation as the Chief Justice of Nigeria.
The Sultan of Sokoto, His Eminence Alhaji Muhammad Saad Abubakar III, is urging the federal government to put in place the necessary infrastructure to ensure the proper structuring of the Almajiri system of education. He stated this when he received the management of the National Commission for Almajiri and Out-of-School Children's Education in his palace in Sokoto State. The Sultan, who is also the President General, Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs, pledged to support the Commission's plan to convene a national dialogue on out-of-school children in Nigeria.
The management of the National Commission for Almajiri Education and Out-of-School Children are in the palace of the Sultan of Sokoto for a courtesy visit as part of the Commission's advocacy to reduce the number of out-of-school children in the country. The Sultan of Sokoto, who is also the President of the Nigeria Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs, believes the task of getting the children off the streets can be achieved if the system is properly structured.
We have no choice but to support them, because our work is their work, and we must all put hands together to make this work succeed. As they have already said, we have all seen the beginning of 1st October protests. Some places it was not a protest, it was rioting. In some places it was pure theft of people's hard-earned properties. So many places, so many things. And we have seen also on television screens and social media, the youth that stormed out. Those who are supposed to be in school, they are the ones on the streets. Why? Because of hunger. And you can't go and feed yourself with a stolen loot, the loot of some other person's sweat.
The Commission wants states to enact laws that will criminalize street begging under the guise of Islamic education.
For you to plan well, you have to have a data that is cogent and verifiable. And to get a data that is cogent and verifiable, as I describe it, you definitely need the assistance of the traditional rulers, who are the custodian of our heritage, the custodian of our values, and who are close to the people on the ground. We are going to take advantage of the passion His Excellency is having and the political will to talk to state assemblies to have on ground legislative exercise that will actually guide the practice of the Karatun Allo as against what is happening now.
The Commission says it is working to compile a reliable data of Almajiri and out-of-school children in the country, as well as convene a national dialogue to address the menace.
Ahead of the local government elections slated for September 28th and issues of systemic insecurity across the country, Anambra State's Governor, Professor Chukwuma Soludo, has held an interactive session with major stakeholders at the International Convention Center in Awka. In attendance are service commanders, traditional rulers, president generals of communities, heads of critical associations, among other relevant stakeholders. After the initial pleasantries, the meeting holds behind closed doors, after which the governor briefs the press on the outcome of the meeting.
BTC chairman, please.
But the meeting is part of the regular interactive sessions with the leaders of communities, the traditional rulers, the president generals of communities, and then the local government chairman. as well as the commanders of the various security agencies. Two main items. Number one is to get them briefed about the forthcoming local government election in the state, and to get all the community fully informed and briefed and mobilized, to participate. This is democracy to ensure free, fair, credible election. That's number one. Number two is to discuss the systemic insecurity that has become the nation and how we continue to respond as a state. Anambra is getting much safer, but we need to do a whole lot more. And the involvement of the security of the communities at the various levels to take ownership of the securities of their communities, and of course with the overarching support of the state and the official security architect was also discussed. And I think overall, we're ready to go.
Still in Anambra State, following the spate of building collapse in the state, as well as the reckless construction going on in various areas of the state, the Anambra State Fiscal Planning Board has warned developers to desist from construction without necessary approvals. Speaking during an enforcement exercise in Idemili North Local Government Area and environs, the Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of the board, Mr. Chike Maduekwe, with a special enforcement team, noticed several buildings without necessary approval springing up and marked them for demolition. Mr. Maduekwe not only warns them to ensure securing proper approvals before building or be ready to have their buildings demolished. The board also issued directives to the developers in the state to disregard demand for notices and threats of demolition from fake members of Council of Registered Engineers of Nigeria, COREN, as only Anambra State Fiscal Planning Board and the Awka Capital Territory Development Authority have the authority and competence to do fiscal planning and development control. Meanwhile, the people of Ezinano community in Awka, Anambra State are seeking partnership from the security agencies in the state to help solve the increasing violent crimes and the menace of cultism in their community. In a well-attended symposium at Emma's House, Awka, with the theme, Combating and Preventing Violent Crimes and Menace of Cultism in Awka Metropolitan City, the convener and one of the leaders of the Ezinano community, Mr. Jeff Nweke, bemoans the fate that has befallen the community, especially the youths that die in their numbers daily due to cult activities, and calls on security agencies to come to their aid and fix the anomaly.
The people of Ezinano community gather at the Emma's House, Awka, the Anambra State capital. They have, with heavy hearts, burdened by the toll of violent crimes and cult killings that have plagued them. Ezinano, consisting of 4 quarters, Amiko, Ezioka, Agulu, and Umoku, makes up 20 of Awka's 33 villages. The community has experienced significant loss of lives and erosion of values due to these crimes, prompting the need for effective intervention.
One of the things that are happening in Awka that has not been happening before is this cultism and violent crime. They kill people at random. They decapitate people in front of our eyes. You see mothers leading their 2-3 children, and they look like people that are doing it with impunity. We want to use this opportunity as Awka people to tell you people that we are not condoning all these things that are happening in Awka. That we are rejecting it. Violent crime has no stay in this very community.
The community is calling for a comprehensive solution and is seeking partnerships with all security agencies.
But what is happening to us today is beyond just saying it. It is beyond just saying that we don't want violent crime. It is beyond just saying that things are happening, but we need a solution. And that solution will only come when you hear us very well and understand how we view these things that are happening. What is actually making it to happen, the way we see it, and the way we deem it, and the way we want it to be solved.
During the event, ACP Operations, Mr. Anyi Teayo, representing the Commissioner of Police, addresses the topic of prevention, deterrence, and police-community relationship in fighting crime. He informs the audience about various police force organizations dedicated to combating cultism and encourages collaboration.
We have integrated efforts to ensure that all sectors, families, educational institutions, communities, government, religious organizations, and NGOs work together through coordinated efforts.
More stakeholders offer further solutions.
Oka indigenes have to be involved in securing their place. And that's why a symposium like that, getting all stakeholders, traditional institutions, religious leaders, youth leaders, all involved in this.
Father may not have time to talk to his son. Father may not have time to talk to his daughter. Because we find out that even women, even ladies, even girls, they are members of a cultist. So we are happy that the mothers full of this hall.
The symposium concludes with the presentation of awards to individuals and police officers who have made significant contributions to securing the capital city, including posthumous recognitions for those who have passed.
To more security stories, the Abia State Governor, Dr. Alex Oti, has expressed his administration's readiness to collaborate with the federal government's Renewed Hope police agenda to flush out criminalities in the state, assuring that the battle against insecurity must be won. Speaking during the town hall meeting tagged Citizens Town Hall Engagement on Strengthening Community Policing in Nigeria in Umuahia, Dr. Alex Oti said security remains a top priority, saying without adequate security, all efforts towards infrastructural development and welfare of the people will be in vain.
The Minister of State for Police Affairs, Hajia Iman Sulaiman Ibrahim, is in Umuahia, the Abia state capital, as part of activities aimed at enhancing community policing and the welfare of the Nigeria police force. She commences her visit with an inspection of the police clinic and the police children's school. After that, she proceeds with her team to the Abia edition of the Renewed Hope Police Town Hall meeting at the International Conference Center in Umuahia. The Abia State Governor, Dr. Alex Oti, the Minister of Labour and Productivity, Mrs. Nkiru Onyejocha, the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, who was represented by the Abia State Commissioner of Police, traditional rulers, religious leaders, among others, are in attendance. In his address to guests of the state and residents, Governor Oti reiterates his state's readiness to partner with the federal government with the Renewed Hope Police agenda aimed at strengthening the existing roadmaps that will enhance the national security architecture.
Top of it is designed message to reawaken us to our responsibilities as citizens, as men and women who must do everything within our power to prevent crime, or help the law enforcement agents to bring criminals to justice. Just as we are now soon after we took over the reins of government, there shall be no safe space for any criminal things. This statement was made with the understanding that we would always have the cooperation of India, who customary have worked hard to get the job done.
Declaring the stakeholders' town hall meeting open, the Minister of State for Police Affairs, Iman Sulaiman Ibrahim, says that President Bola Tinubu's administration places security at the center of its priorities.
It is looked out, awaiting that potential to embrace the living Ghanaian company that initiated processed in the nation. This town hall is therefore after like a Texas street of tackle and placation that wasn't acting. To maximize the person of standard of security and evidence and first specific solutions.
On his part, the chairman of the Abia State Council of Traditional Rulers, Linus Mba, bears his thoughts on the meeting, calling for the full participation of members of the various communities.
It's very, very important to the Nigerian laws and adjustments. We're already fighting to work with government to make sure every place is peace. I want the federal government to help the governor in terms of state policing to make sure that they help us and increase the security in our place. Second point of security is helped by governor with the CP along here, so they will become in the states.
The community leaders and residents are optimistic that the Abia edition of the Town Hall meeting will help the grassroots develop a better understanding of security dynamics and foster community-specific solutions.
You're watching Newsroom series on Channels Television. Still ahead, we'll highlight some developments in the Enugu electricity sector. Stay with us. Welcome back. The National Association of Resident Doctors, NARD, at the Federal University of Technology Teaching Hospital, Owerri, Imo State, have staged a peaceful protest demanding the unconditional release of their colleague, Dr. Ganiat Popola, who was abducted alongside her husband and nephew by gunmen 8 months ago at her residence in Kaduna State. The doctors, in their large numbers, carrying placards and chanting solidarity songs, marched around the premises of the institution, decrying the level of insecurity in the country in which many of their colleagues across the country have been victims.
We are asking for the safe release of our dear colleague, Dr. Ganiat. We are asking for the unconditional release of our dear colleague, Dr. Ganiat, and the nephew. And it will also interest you, dear colleagues, the press, ladies and gentlemen, that about 2 days ago, about 19 medical students were also kidnapped. And the house officer as well was also kidnapped while they were going to Enugu from Maiduguri and Jos altogether. Up till now, they have not been released. And just yesterday, a doctor in nearby Anambra State, at Ihiala precisely, was also kidnapped. Now, these are the few doctors that have decided to be around the country to care for our colleagues, our parents, our children, Nigerians at large. Because at this time, you know that many health workers, doctors are leaving the country in drones. And these are the ones that have decided to be here to care for us. Why do we deserve all this? Colleagues are crying all around the country. We want all these our colleagues to be released. Specifically, Dr. Ganiat. We don't want her to remain in that kidnapper's den a day again. She should be released unconditionally. She should return to her family safe, without anything attached. So we are calling on government. We know that if they rise to the occasion, she will get back. That's the reason for this peaceful protest. Thank you.
Meanwhile, the CMD of the Federal University of Technology Teaching Hospital, Owerri, Imo State, Kingsley Achigbo, who received the protesters, promises to escalate the matter with relevant agencies to ensure safe return of the doctors.
I want to promise you that this complaint you have brought, we would escalate it to highest levels. I can promise you we'll shortly be going for our committee of MDs and CMDs meetings of heads of federal tertiary hospitals in the country. We are close to 70 of us now. And these are advocates, for the medical, environment and for the healthcare workers and for doctors. And we are going to escalate this even to our parent ministry, and I believe onward to the highest seat of the land. I will only, appeal that we remain steadfast, we remain prayerful, we remain hopeful that government is not deaf. I believe government hears, and government is not also immune to these happenings. You'll be surprised that if you trace it, this doctor may be related to some people we call the government. We are part of government on our own, at our own different levels.
We move over to Enugu State, where the police commissioner, CP Kanaya Ozoegbu, says the command has arrested 123 suspects, rescued 19 abducted victims, recovered 15 AK-47 and assault rifles, 25 pump-action guns, amongst others, in its sustained fight against crime and criminality in the state. The Commissioner of Police made this known while briefing journalists on the operational achievements of the State's command in the month of August at the State Police Command. Reacting to the recent demolition of properties identified as kidnappers' den in the state, the CP wants landlords and citizens to be mindful of tenants and neighbors and come forward with actionable information that will help police in its duties early enough before their activities get out of hand.
We are particularly glad that the demolition of identified houses and facilities in different locations of the state hitherto used by the criminals to perpetuate nefarious criminal activities has started in the earnest. We will continue to fish out these criminals and ensure that places serving as their havens are demolished accordingly. Therefore, I call all citizens of Enugu State, particularly the landlords, hoteliers, and owners of uncompetent buildings, to be mindful of who they accommodate in their structure. This is to ensure that they do not harbor criminals whose activities could bring about the demolition of their building facilities.
What happened at to come and operate in our space?
Still in Enugu, the state government has announced that it is opening up the entire value chain of electricity markets in the state for all market participants to play, from supply to generation, transmission to distribution, electricity retailing and metering to energy efficiency applications. Representing the governor at a stakeholders engagement and consultation on EERC's regulatory instruments in Enugu, the secretary to the state government, Professor Chidi Onya, said government is eager to get the inputs of industry stakeholders into the state's draft electricity regulatory framework to make the state's electricity market viable. He assured the industry players of the continued independence of EERC to operate without political or administrative interference.
We are opening up the entire value chain of the electricity market in Enugu State for all market participants to play, from fuel supply to generation, transmission to distribution, electricity retailing through off-grid to mini-grid solutions, and from metering to energy efficiency solutions. Therefore, like you, critical stakeholders, we as government have reviewed the regulations and we make our input, comments, and suggestions for the consideration of the Commission. We are enablers in this business and will be supporting most of your projects as partners and also as off-takers, customers. Let me use this medium to assure all service providers that we will pay our bill based on the willing buyer, willing seller arrangement of bilateral agreements or power purchase contracts that is agreed and executed. We invite you to take advantage of this opportunity to establish your electricity businesses in Enugu State and provide efficient and reliable services to industries, commercial business clusters, and residents of the state.
Nigeria's First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, has gifted 1,000 women petty traders in Abia State the sum of 50 million naira to enhance their trades. She made the donation through her Renewed Hope initiative. Mrs. Tinubu was represented at the event by the wife of the Chief of Staff to the President, Mrs. Salamatu Gbajabiamila, who says the grant is part of a continued commitment to drive economic growth towards a better life for families.
It's the turn of women in Abia State to benefit from the Renewed Hope intervention channeled through the office of Nigeria's First Lady, Mrs. Oluremi Tinubu. 1,000 women petty traders in Abia State are gifted with 50 million naira to enhance their businesses. Senator Tinubu, who was represented by the wife of the Chief of Staff to the President, Mrs. Salamatu Gbajabiamila, says the grant is part of the federal government's continued commitment to drive economic growth and a better life for families. The grant is to help women traders overcome business challenges.
Through the Renewed Hope Initiative Economic Empowerment Program, we are providing 1,000 pre-selected women petty traders per state with a grant of 50,000 naira each. These entities will grow their businesses. A total of 1,850 million naira will be disbursed to 37,000 women petty traders across the nation.
In her welcome address, the wife of the governor of Abia State, Priscilla Oti, is grateful for the Renewed Hope intervention geared towards poverty alleviation. She believes the day the grant is being given symbolizes recognition, empowerment, and hope.
We have come together to launch this very old tiny intervention by RBH and initiative. Today, people who have solutions were needed in this day. Today is also a day of recognition, empowerment, and hope as we award this grant to women-led narrow businesses. And are not only shaping our economy, but also transforming our communities.
For the Abia State Governor, who is represented by his deputy, Ikechukwu Emetu, the initiative demonstrates a commitment to women empowerment, and the state under this administration believes that investing in women accelerates prosperity and peace.
This initiative demonstrates a shared commitment to empowering women and promoting economic growth. By offering doctorization grants, it aims to support women in expanding their businesses, enhancing operations, and achieving better financial stability. Here in the state, our dynamic governor, Dr. Alex Chioma, to be very proud. Having known that investing in women has limited as totally investing in women raise prosperity and peace. And students of this campaign promise to empower Abia women in building their businesses and in grassroots and help to create wealth across the state.
Economic empowerment remains a core objective of the Renewed Hope initiative as it delivers on its promise to support the economic reforms of President Bola Tinubu's administration across the 6 geopolitical zones.
And that's where we close the program today. I'm Dominic Iwiwu. Remain safe.